What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also host the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And they're back. You don't know? Well, let me tell you, they are back. The posse is back. So let me just bring them on stream, back by popular demand. There we go. McNairy Inc. is back in the house. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's happening?
Being wonderful.
What's up?
Thanks for having me back.
Well, we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, right. So what's going on? What's been going on since the last time we got together? Had a very big response the last time all of you were on the platform, so we had to have you back. We had no choice.
Life is good. We're all above the dirt, so it's a good thing.
And to the third and junior, happy belated Father's Day.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. Very, very nice to have you all on. So, Sid, you're always leading the charge. So tonight you wanted to chat about fatherhood, friendship, and trauma. Okay, don't roll too much into one conversation, Sid. Like, all right, nothing else to talk about, you know. So I'm gonna let you lead the conversation. Why did you want to chat about this evening?
Well, I feel, as you know, from all the time that you spend working with men, there's a lot of trauma that has taken place, and I feel that a conversation around these three things, fatherhood, friendship, and trauma, is an important conversation right now, especially because there's so many men that are in the experience of the latter of the three, that this can give them hope, because, we've all experienced being sons. We've all experienced, at least from my perspective, that we have grown to be great friends of each other and supporters and moving each other forward. And have we had moments? Yeah, we had moments. I had moments where there were things I would have done differently as a father, hindsight, but there was no playbook for it. So I was on a wing and a prayer. And fortunately, I've been blessed that my son has come out the way he's come out, because I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I just happened to have an example of things that I wanted to do. And some of them I missed, some of them I got right. And fortunately, he made it through. So I'm happy for this conversation, because it's needed. And on top of that, when I think of, a lot of fathers, we just had Father's Day. A lot of fathers on Father's Day, hey, spend all this time with your kids. Here, do this with your kids. On Mother's Day, go have a vacation, right? So fathers get a different end of the stick than mothers. And what I've seen in my work is that there's a lot of ways for women to get through trauma right now. And it's great, because I do feel that our women as a species have gotten a lot stronger over the last few years. And it's okay for us to still help men, because men need that too. So that's why I wanted to create this conversation, because I have a father, in my opinion, I'm here and he's done a great job. I have a son that he's doing phenomenal, and we have a great friendship. We're going fishing on Sunday because it's my birthday. So yeah, sorry. So I just love it. I love the family that I have. I love that I am a Sydney. I'm in a great place in my life. And so if I can speak to it and help somebody else, that's what I'm meant to do.
I fully agree. And I think not because it's just Father's Day we have this conversation. I think this is a continuous conversation. It's not framing it around Father's Day. Fathers are fathers every day, not just celebration of Father's Day. So I fully agree with you. I say this a lot. There's a lot of fathers and a lot of men that are screaming and nothing's coming out. And conversations like this, I'm speaking it, will help at least give them hope. And I want to just tip my hat up to all the fathers out there that each one of you, you're a super dad. You need to acknowledge that you are a dad, right? It's a big role. It's a big responsibility. And in the stuff that I do helping men and fathers, there's a lot of things out there for men, for women and mothers, but there's a lack of supports for fathers and men. So what I'm going to do is, Junior or Doc, I want to know, when I mention the word fatherhood, what comes to your mind? And then we'll go ask the same question of the fourth. But Doc, when I say the word fatherhood to you, what does that mean?
When you use the word fatherhood, at least for me, as I have thought about it, fatherhood is not a situation where it begins with you, whoever you are as a father, but you are the connection from generation to generation in terms of values added and handed down through you to the next generation. And although sometimes, and I've said it before, what we think is the way to do things often doesn't work out that way. There will be mistakes, and there were mistakes in terms of the lessons learned and the values passed on to me down from generations as far back as maybe the 1900s. But we pick and choose, if we're wise, to allow those ideas to come together. And in fact, don't feel that we must have a playbook for success. We must be nimble. We must have the ability to change. We must begin, and there was a magnificent moment for me when the transition of a son, a grandson, from childhood to adulthood is a phenomenal place of possibility in terms of what must happen. And so, first off, to be a father, sometimes the best thing you can do as a father is not to try to give direction, but to be a good listener and create that forum in which there will be productive dialogue between you and the offspring. My son Sydney and I, we've grown together. He's helped me grow. And I believe it is been a reciprocal process. I've helped him to grow. But you got to be flexible. And, as you learn these lessons called fathering, you find that it not only applies to your nuclear family, but you are a father for every person that you meet across this universe. And in fact, I've had the distinct pleasure and honor to work with young people, young men, young women throughout this nation, and well, in Puerto Rico, Hawaii. And so the lessons that I actually, I'm running this experiment called Fatherhood with my father. And I hope I got it right. But then he takes those lessons to the next generation, Sid 4, and he hopes he's got it right. And so we begin to build and develop a relationship with people. In fact, being a father, I'm a father well, I couldn't believe it when I went to church Sunday, someone who had not seen me, they greeted me as father. Well, we're not biologics, but we still have that relationship where they look to me, perhaps look up to me, and actually, as I say to all of us, we become wise people by living. Wise people because we actually learn what not to do and what to do and how to do it. So this idea of fatherhood goes far and beyond the nuclear family, but in fact, we are impacting people throughout, male and female, throughout the nation. And point of fact is, and I just hate to borrow upon slavery, but point of fact is, we black folk, we black men, in generations ago, we were actually run off from the homes as the massa came and participated in the fruits of our labor in our family. And so we were on the sidelines, and we as a generation of Black people have had to come back and accept the responsibility of being a father, and know that what we do is very important and contributes to the success of generations and generations to come. We're important links from the past generation to those future generations, generations unborn. So fatherhood is a critical part of this idea. It's okay, really. It took me, I have to admit, it took me a while to understand what my responsibilities were as a father. As a matter of fact, I didn't even anticipate that I would ever become a father, because it was such a massive undertaking. And so it's just, as I've said before to many a person, being a father is sort of like when I was a young kid and we played sandlot football. We had no plays. We had no plays. We'd go to the line. If I were playing a quarterback, which I often did, I'd tell the wide receivers, go long. I'll try to throw it to you, but if they get too fast behind me, I may have to run, and you start blocking. So there's no script for being a father. You got to deal with this notion, the idea of fatherhood, as the events occur, and you actually make adjustments along the way. And so one thing that this really, I just wish, and after we met the last time, I just wish every father had the opportunity that I now have had. You know, I talked to my son, Sydney the third. I talked to Sydney fourth. But this is a forum where we talk to each other and we listen and we understand, we smile. It's working quite well. So you, Dr. Vibe, you have actually added a portion to a value to my life that I never had anticipated. I talk to these guys on the phone. They probably not even listening. But now we have it recorded and they go back and see value in what we say to each other.
All right.
Probably.
Well, so doctor, there seems to be a challenge with your microphone. I don't know what is, but sort of crackling. So hopefully the next time you speak, it'll be a bit more clear. I respectfully did not want to interrupt you because I do not interrupt my elders. I wanted you to complete what you had to say. So hopefully try saying something now and see how it sounds.
Thank you very much.
That's still crackly.
Is it leaning against where the microphone is? Is it leaning against something?
It's on top of a computer that's on.
Turn it that's off. Probably it. The computer that's on is, you may want to turn it off.
Turn the computer off. Is that better?
It's clearing. Say something now.
Just turn the computer off.
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
It's a little bit better. There's still a little bit of crack. Fourth, okay. Take yourself off.
Sorry, is it a laptop? It's probably the keyboard.
It is an iPad.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
We'll work with
this.
Huh?
There's no playbook for this.
No, exactly. There's no playbook. So we'll have to go with what we got.
I think it's good. I once it say something again, Dad.
Hi, my son.
It's still crackly. Well, we'll go with it.
Now, another thing you could do, because it may just be vibrating against what you're leaning it to, is if there was like a piece of cloth that you could put a towel or shirt on.
So Agent B is saying, is there a case on the iPad?
Yes, there is.
Okay, Agent B, there is
a clear.
Is that better?
Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead and say something.
Say something.
It's better. Okay, it's better. Better than what it was. Okay.
There's no crackle now.
Yeah. So fourth, when I say fatherhood to you, what does that mean?
It means a lot of things that I don't know about. It means the most I know about actually being a dad, I guess, is a dog dad. You know, I got to go outside in the morning. I got to take her out. You know, I gotta pick up poop. You know, these are small responsibilities in life that I have, but I can only imagine pulling off a diaper, changing a diaper, possibly getting peed on. You know, very different thing because now this is a human. You can't talk to a human like you would a dog, right? So anyway, actually being a father, I have no clue. I have no clue. Honestly, it scares the heck out of me. Like I heard Pop say, I had no intention of even becoming a father at one point. That's kind of where I'm at in life right now. I don't even know how that's supposed to. I know how it happens. Trust me, I know how it happens. But I don't know when it happens, and I don't know when to approach that. I think it's something that will just naturally fall upon me if I'm supposed to approach it. But when it comes to experiencing a father, I know a little bit about that. I have one, and I have a grandfather, and I have a pretty dope uncle. Actually, many uncles. I have cousins that are fathers. So I watch them, and I learn. Okay, first of all, is that something I could do? Oftentimes I look at it and I say, yeah, I could do that. And there's sometimes when I look at it and I say, there's no way in hell I could do that. You know, there's times where I know I've been a son that's challenging for my dad. And I look at, hey, if I had a guy that was like me that I had to raise, could I do that? I don't know. Because I know, like, man, that's just got to be so frustrating, right? When you want to just go about your own life, but you got to deal with a knucklehead over there being a knucklehead. I know what I've been, you know, and I've also been a really great son. I feel like I've been more than responsible for a lot of things, you know, that many sons wouldn't take on. So I'm grateful to have a dad that accepts my help at times, you know, and also like accepts my perspective. One thing that if I ever become a father, that's definitely something I'd love to emulate is like the moments where my dad or my granddad or my uncle or you know whoever it is in a father figure that knows much more than me about being a dad is still open to listening to my perspective. Um, Being open and being vulnerable to you know experiencing things from a different view is definitely an attribute of a really good dad. So in my perspective. So being a father, I think the first step is just being around for all those dads out there that aren't around and or all those young, you know, I have friends that don't have their dads in their life and I listen to their stories and I don't even know how to relate because I've never had that. Again, all I can do is listen and be empathetic and yeah, supportive because in that moment, because of all of the fatherhood that I've experienced, maybe just by listening to them, I can provide that space and energy for them, even though we might be the same age. I have a lot of friends that come to me for advice that I simply give them advice that my fathers have given me. So, yeah, if you want to be a good dad, first step is just being around.
Nice. Sid, want to ask you, your father said that, hey, he didn't know what to do when he became a father. How about you? Because you had a good example. What have you gleaned from him?
Well, I love how Forrest said that there's things he just wanted to emulate. I got the perspective that this is one thing my father said. I don't know if he's gonna want me to say, but this is one thing he said to me. He said, when I turned 17, he said, son, everybody you date from here on is a potential wife for life. Because if you get her pregnant, you are going to be with that kid the rest of your life. So will she. And I was like, oh, heck. So at 17, I already knew you know, like Sid already knows how you make a baby, you know, how you become a father. So from then on, it became a choice for me. It wasn't just some roll of the dice. I chose at 24 to have my son. I chose that. Like, and there's a lot of people that at 24 weren't equipped for that. At 24, I know I was ready to have my son because I got to see, and I'm fortunate that the creator, whatever, allowed me to be present to the fact that my father took me to all over creation to soccer games, showed up for my football games. And I'm talking, it's not like, oh, my dad worked an easy job and got to leave early. He had a job, and you can go Google his name, that changed the world. And so he still did that no matter what. So when I was a football coach and those hours were there, it was like, all right, I'll go home and play video games and act like my son's really playing, even though he's too little to play because he didn't know what he was doing. So I faked it. And we had those times because my dad was there for me, throwing the ball with me, teaching me how to kick a soccer ball when he didn't know how to kick a soccer ball, teaching me how to throw a football, how to run, how to be, like, you know, no matter what it was, he was there, you know, good, bad, right or wrong, he was there. And so, like Sid said, and that's what I had. And for me, I always was like, all right, I'm going to have a Sydney. That's a responsibility. Like, I'm named Sid 3. I have to have 4. Like, that was just in my head that way. I'm not saying that 4 needs to think like that. It was just like that for me, that I knew I was going to have the next generation. And so I paid attention because it was like, all right, here are the things. And I feel that, you know, Sid talked about the young men in his life that don't have their dads around. Well, it's okay to me because everything is an opportunity for me to learn and grow. So those young men that didn't have their dads, they know what it was like. So now they have learned from their fathers how to be different. It's up to each and every one of us to keep elevating no matter where we come from. And so that I love that I had not only my dad made sure my uncles were around, my aunts, that our family, like my dad, my mom created family around us. I have so many grandmoms, people they don't know who I'm talking about when I say my grandma, because we had Grandma Ruby, we had Nani or Nana, we had Grandmother Morningstar, I had I could keep going. There were a lot of people, all the nuns that hung around the house. My parents made sure that people were solid people around us. And that's how I learned to be who I became eventually. I got to choose from the best of the best to be the person I'm being today. So I'm grateful for my life, 100%.
Doctor, as you hear your son saying that, I'd like to know, where did you get that mindset to create that environment from as a father?
Well, it came from a number of places. But I'm going to say first and foremost, I got lucky. I got lucky. I got lucky because the person that I ended up marrying was a person I met when I was about 8 years old.
Wow.
And I remember as my father would wash the car on Sunday, I said to my dad, "This is your penance." But he washed the car every Sunday. And the woman that became my wife actually was with her grandmother. And we would just stand silently. And I can hear her say, "Good morning, Mrs. Sidney." And my dad would say, "Good morning, Miss Wade." And that was it. That's all we heard. But point of fact is, my wife actually, and I have to say this very candidly and very honestly. I married a woman who actually is darn near a Bible scholar. she is indeed a Judeo-Christian woman. She quotes the Bible, finds chapter and verse. Although I'm a cradle Catholic, she taught me a lot. She taught me about humility, patience, kindness, understanding, attributes that I didn't have growing up in the ghetto. And so I knew that the approach that I had experienced with my father, who actually was impacted by slavery, what happened to slaves, I had to do it a little differently. So, as a father, and I'll say this for all fathers, you try to pick and choose those pieces from the experiences that you have in life before you and build upon that. And so my wife actually played an important role. Believe it or not, Dr. Vine, as I grew up, I was very much an introvert. I didn't talk to people, didn't have time for them. And she taught me how to be a social person. And so she instilled in me a confidence where I guess I didn't run off from the fact that she was pregnant, scared to death, not knowing what to do with a new life. And so we stayed the course. We've been married 57 years. It ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be easy. But we never even entertained the possibility of divorce. Never, never, never. And so I've said this over and over to my wife. I don't care what happens to me. I have a lifelong commitment to you and these children. Whether I'm here or not, I'm here to take care of y'all. So help me God. And so she taught me a lot. And so we're still together. And it's just amazing with this pandemic. You know, we've really gotten to know each other. I thought we knew each other. But we spend so much time now. We don't have anything else to do with this COVID stuff. So we spend a lot of time talking, reflecting, and we actually visit a lot of our family history. And we pick and choose those examples and experiences that has helped us to become pretty good people, pretty good people. And as I listened, I was in church on Sunday, and it was the Feast of Corpus Christi in the Catholic Church. And it's about the few loaves and fish as Christ was feeding the multitude. And our pastor said something that struck a sensitive chord in my life. More important than your relationship with, more important than material wealth is your relationship with your fellow man. And so I realized that, whatever blessings that have been bestowed upon me, I have an obligation to push those blessings forward to Sid 3, Sid 4, and perhaps Sid 5. Counting on you, brother.
How'd you get that? No pressure.
No, facts.
Oh, okay. All right.
They don't have, hey, whatever will be, will be.
Yes.
He may adopt a child and name it, or he may say, this is Sid 5. That's wonderful. At least he's going to be a great mentor because he's cut from some mighty damn good cloth.
Received. Absolutely. Sid 4, anything you want to add after that nice little lead up?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken the pressure off my life. That's been one of my biggest things. That's created a great friendship with myself. I see friendships on one of the topics that we're on today. So because fatherhood's not in my immediate vicinity right now of things that I can really speak to, I created a great friendship with myself by taking the pressure off my life. And in return has helped me take the pressure off of my dad to be this perfect image, taking the pressure off of my, even my mom, taking the pressure off of my girlfriend, taking the pressure off of you name it. Just take the pressure off people. And you create better friendships, better relationships, and people just start flocking to you. and your energy. I've had a lot of people, walk by in this last 5 minutes. Wasn't expecting that. Usually this little cove is no people. Uh, but good energy by taking the pressure off and just being yourself. I'm creating some really cool relationships in life. I'm meeting people that I wouldn't meet if I was still tense and dense and not free flowing. I sat here and I had a 4-year studio that I felt extremely accomplished, but I put so much pressure to be this greatness for whoever needed it. But I did it with pressure, and then I got rid of that, and I moved, and I took on a new career. And I don't even, all of this is random stuff. Just to get back to, this has been the building of a great friendship with me. So I feel like one of the things that both my grandfather and my dad had before I came into the picture, and before the women in their life came into their picture, or even when they did, is they built a better relationship with themselves and a better understanding of themselves, which leads them to be this great understanding and example for others, including me, a son, right, who's learning from vulnerability, who's learning from freedom, who's learning from an open book of life, no pressure. Take the pressure off. You can be anything. You can be an inspirational speaker in 5 minutes. You don't have to study for that. You can be a solar salesman. That's what I do day to day. I'm doing really well. You can be a yoga teacher. You can be a world traveler. You can be whatever you want. And these guys have taught me a lot about that. So again, add it to the list of things, a great friend, a great father, just like, man, inspire people to be themselves
Well
and
said.
take the pressure off.
Well said. Sid, want to transition to the area of friendship. How important and how critical do you feel friendship is to Black men?
There's 3 Sids. So who are you talking to?
You.
Okay. I was just
You.
checking in. So I mean, friendship, for the longest, I mean, I grew up having a lot of friends. I mean, my parents had me go around, and I played soccer with all these different people, and then I was always in sports, so, and I was decent enough at the sports I played, so people liked me and I liked them. And then I went to college, and I made more friends, and as soon as I started coaching football, friends went out the picture, and we became coaching family. And outside of that little network of people in that coaching family, and I'm great friends with those people that I got to coach with. I mean, I missed one guy that was in my wedding. He asked me to come be his best man. I said, man, it's football season. I can't do that. I showed up late to my brother's wedding because I was coaching football. So everything was football, football, football. And so there was that space of, I've reconnected with people and reaching out and going to see the same guy I said I missed his wedding. We're going to meet halfway because he's now living in Florida, and we're going to go get dinner with our wives, and I'm leaning on the people that I've known for a long time, because the higher I climbed, what I found was the more I would be alone. I just kept climbing, and so friendship is definitely, I mean, the guys that I've just partnered with for the Modern Monk, we have a relationship that I can lean on and speak honestly to. So I think, especially as a African American man, at least on the outside, because I'm human, it's important for me. It's been just important to have those people that I picked up the phone one day and just called my buddy Rick, who we've been friends since college. Fortunately, he became a football coach, so we had that in common, and we kept that friendship. He's my son's godfather, and I picked up the phone and said, "Hey, man, I just need somebody to talk to. I got to get this out." And so I think it's very important that we have that level of friendship with people so we can be open, honest, and just get an outside perspective. Because for me, there were times that I just put myself down, thought any miss for me seemed like a loss. And so sometimes I just needed to call the people that I could count on saying, hey man, you're a good dude. You need to stop all that. Let's move forward. So I think it's important to have friends for sure.
Sure. Doctor,
I'd
what are
like
your
to
thoughts?
add.
Yeah, please. I was coming to absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to add about something that I did say my wife had a dramatic impact on my life. But I want to just give you one quote that she gave me and really has been something that has driven my life. And it goes like this, and I'm sure Sid 3 can quote it too. He may not admit it, but he can. She said to me over and over, I never thought about it. I was in Episcopalian Bible school. I went to the Hillel Foundation with the Jewish students. I was in the all kind of religious groups. But she gave me something that really just was a dramatic change and impact on my life. She said to me, and I remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's one point that really kind of moved me forward, moved me from, shall we say, ground zero to the stratosphere. The other thing was, and I would be remiss in talking here if I didn't say that I went to a small black college, because back then, black folk didn't go to anything but little small colleges. And I was not well prepared to go out and do all the things I ended up doing. However, I mean, the laboratories were substandard, the books were dated. They left me with the feeling and understanding I can do anything, a confidence that they instilled in me. And so as a graduate student, I was studying both undergraduate courses again in order to come up to speed at Purdue University. So the friendship, things that have impacted my life, there will, and I say this unequivocally, where two or more people are gathered, you're going to have disagreements. That's it. Now, how do you resolve it? Do you walk away with anger, or do you have dialogue back and forth and be willing to admit that I was wrong? So that has driven me and helped me to deal with a lot of traumatic experiences in my life. To admit, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I didn't have the answer after all. Maybe even my son, Sydney, he just might know more than I do because he's had different experiences. And hey, even Sid 4, he's had different experiences. I've never ridden an elephant in Africa. He has. If we don't talk about riding elephants in Africa, I have to talk to him. He's ridden them. And so you got to be willing to accept the fact that you don't know it all. And others can help and guide you and have an impact on what you do and how you see it and where you're going. So that's so important, I think, in terms of fatherhood. It's important in terms of friendship, and it helps deal with trauma. I've been called by each of these gentlemen. Boy, it kind of scared me to death when they called me, with their problems. Why are you calling me? I can't help you. But just having open dialogue, just talking. And you can reach a common accord. And I guess bottom line is they really didn't have problems. I was the problem. You have to be willing to admit you may be the problem. So this trauma in life, it's going to be there. Talk. And you can reach common ground. And it really may require, shall we say, compromise and admitting I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of them. I have more than these youngsters, but they got some I don't have. They do. I understand that. So that's so critically important in terms of being a good father. I've learned, I didn't say this last time. It was just a devastating moment. No, not devastating. for such a critical moment when Sydney 3 was in college. And I noticed every time we talked on the phone, he'd say, "I love you, Dad." And I said, "Okay, I know you. I mean, I know you do. That's what I'm saying. I know you do. Why are you telling me?" And so finally, after I don't know if he intended it. Finally, I realized, I'm not saying back to him, "I love you too." Something so simple. And so I began to teach other members of my family how to say, "I love you." And I said it to my sister, and this is her response. "I know it." I said, "Sis, look, I'm trying to teach you to say, 'I love you.'" And so this guy here, this guy Sydney third allows me and helped me to say to Sydney fourth, "I love you, son." He taught me that. So be willing to accept the fact that you don't have all the answers. Listen, pay attention. All the answers are out there. It depends on whether or not you're willing to listen. So trauma, I don't have trauma in my life anymore. That comes from living. And you're willing to accept the fact that you don't have all the answers. No trauma. No trauma.
So Agent Bay is saying honesty is the way, and being open is important with building relationships. Pam Ray is saying this is an incredible, heartwarming experience for those listening. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The fourth.
Yeah.
Men and trauma. From your lens, you are the youngest of the 4-pack here. Do you see it in men of your age, the trauma?
Yeah, I see. I think I see things that can be labeled trauma. I think we get to choose what is traumatic to our life and what is not. Things happen. Things have happened in my life, I get in trouble. I got some things for that. But if I sat here and said that's going to be traumatic for me for the rest of my life, I'd be screwed. These are things that are trauma to you. It's because I got a friend in the back.
I can tell.
Yeah.
The fifth.
Okay. Not quite. My dog doesn't bark like that.
Okay. Respect.
So anyway, I would say, yeah, that's the main thing. Okay. All right. Wanted some showtime. That's all. Everybody wants some showtime. I'm on a call right now. That's all good. You know what? Is this the door? Is this the door? I'm gonna open the door for him.
All right.
We'll do. 1 second.
So no problem. Third.
Yeah.
Pick up. Yeah.
This is an interesting one tonight. A lot of different, different variables.
We find a way. What about trauma? You're a yoga practitioner, so is your son, but for yourself, speak to it in regards to Black men and trauma.
Well, I agree with Sid, and I'm grateful that he's able to have the wherewithal to choose what he's going to make traumatic. I mean, no matter who's going through anything, once they've gone through it, it's no longer real. No one can show me, like I could show you a scar on my leg from banging my knee on the concrete that I fell in Baton Rouge. It's the only real scar that has carried all through my life. And knees are about moving forward. Every part of my body has a different way of expressing something. Hands are give and receive. Your hands break, you're missing on giving and receiving. My knees that's how we move forward in life. So that scar has been a real big reference point for me when I think about moving forward in my life. And so when it comes to traumas, they are things that we're holding on to, and we get to choose if we're going to put them down or not. And so I'm grateful that my son has picked that up wherever he picked it up. I'd like to take credit for it, but he picked it up, so it's all his. And that's really it. When I look at, we can talk about slavery, you know, that was mentioned, and it's part of history, his story. Why is that part of his story? For me, that's to keep people locked up. Do I need to know where I came from? In some senses, yet could I move beyond that? Yes, I'm already beyond that. Now, there are places that there's still slavery in the world, yet I've never lived through slavery.
Mhm.
So is it traumatic for me? Only because people have passed on their trauma that I picked up. And I choose not to pick up people's traumas anymore. I choose not to play in the traumas that people have. I've traveled this world into places that people think are unsafe. Dominican Republic, when I went, there were 9 people that had just died right before I went. People said, don't go, don't go. I went and I had a beautiful time, and I met some beautiful people. I've been to Nicaragua, and you know, I'm not even going to use his name just in case somebody's listening out there that doesn't want me to use his name. I've been to Nicaragua. I could sit here and I could be scared of going to Nicaragua. I could be scared to leave my house. America has traumatic places. I could be scared to leave my house because we got a big black dog that barks at a lot of people when you walk down the steps, but it doesn't bite anybody. But I could be scared because I know what it's like to have a big dog bark. Right. I choose my life. If I'm going to leave anything in this comment, it's for people to start choosing what they want. I look at people, and I talk about this often. If people would put as much energy to the things they hate into the things they love, they would have a different experience of life.
Yeah.
So that's really it. Yes, there are things that are traumatic. I'm not taking anything away from anybody that wants to hold on to their traumas. I would say, what are they doing for you now? For me, the traumas that I had experienced, they weren't doing anything. So I started to put those things down. You know, when going out and sitting on Vision Quest, one of the things, it's kind of a rite of passage. And at some point you get to choose when you're going to put down your childish ways. And holding on to trauma, to me, is something that a child does because they don't know any different. I know different now. And hopefully anyone that's listening now knows different, and they can start to let go of their traumas.
Good stuff. Doctor, what do you have to say about black men and trauma?
Could I finish?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead forth first. Go ahead.
Because so where I was going with that is that, and the dog came back, but I don't care this time. So the thing is, like, we can have these things that are traumatic in our life, right? And the first point what my dad just talked on was, yes, we have the option to put those down and just move forward, really not live from that space. That's what I choose to do with the things that have happened in my life. That's past. But then we talk about present moment trauma, present moment things that are still happening to people because of the environment, the circles, the friends, so-called friends that they put themselves around. And I feel as though when I think about trauma, I don't think about myself anymore. I look out to a fellow man and I just see, okay, what are you going through? And how can I help you get out of that and see that now that you're out of it, it's now behind you. It's no longer with you. You can choose to pick it up again. You can choose to not. But like, that's where I see trauma now is what is happening to a fellow child. Like what's happening to a child before my eyes. That's traumatic for me. Watching someone else go through it now. Like there's no like now that I see another way, it's like I can't just watch this happen in front of me if it's happening in front of me. I can't just listen to this and then not help someone get out of it. I have a responsibility. If I can overcome my traumas, if I can overcome my things that have happened to me in my life and I labeled them, that's it. That's what a trauma is. Something happened to me. I labeled it bad. I labeled it horrible. I labeled it diminishing. I labeled it all of these negative things. That's what a trauma is. And I'm not saying that there's not things that are hard not to label. I would be, naive thinking that way. Yeah, I know grown men that still hold on to a moment at 16 when they were raped.
Wow.
I work with a guy, and I'm not going to put a name because that's just
no,
you don't do
that's
that.
Confidential. Yeah.
Yeah. I work with a guy that's been through this situation, and I'm knowing of it, and I've never had a conversation with him. And at the very least, what I can do is just be a friend to help move him out of that past moment into the present moment and say, there's no more trauma here. Where I stand here today, there's no more trauma. There's nothing negative impacting me. So I see trauma as an opportunity now, because trauma is not on my life. My life, things happen to me, and I'm good with where I'm at now. I'm happy. I'm financially rich. I am spiritually rich. Yeah, Pops, I got you. You need a loan?
You hear that? You hear that?
And I can do things that I've never done before. And one of those things is help people to a whole new level. And first starts by just listening. Trauma is not mine anymore. Trauma's an opportunity for me. If I'm a healer, if I see someone who's claiming they're going through trauma, they're going through something that they don't know how to get through. That's what it is. So my job as an opportunistic is to help them get through it.
Lovely. Before we get to Pops, Agent Bay says, what you give your attention to grows. And also he says, Vision Quest is a rite of passage, and more men need to have that experience, or perhaps a silent meditation retreat. Both will challenge you in the way you need. Everyone's shaking their head on that. Good words. Pops?
Trauma. I have found, and I will be 85 October 16th.
Wow.
I have found that, first off, you have to understand every individual's perception of what happens is different based on their individual experiences. And so most things we call trauma, if we simply pause and talk, we will find that we will actually be able to find our way through it. A real example is, and I think that of the four of us should understand that we're sort of like under a microscope. People watch and see what we do without even knowing us or even talking to us. And so we become an example of how to live and avoid problems, or how to succeed. Hard work, whatever it takes, doing without, paying attention, raising a child. So people pay attention to what you do. And I was really it frightened me one day in church. I attended a church with about a membership of about 1,500, 2,000 people. Wow. And I sit there, and I've been there like 46 years. We have priests, and we have former nuns, and we have all kind of these holy people. I'm just there to serve the Lord. That's all I'm there for. And a guy who was about as far away from me as you could be in this church had been coming to this church for 2 years. And I could kind of feel someone is coming toward me. I keep looking up, and they're getting closer. So he walked up to me and said, I have a problem that I need to talk to someone about. I said, well, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. How can I help you? He said, well, I've looked at every person in this church, so many people. And by the way you carry yourself and the way you interact with people, you are the one who can help me solve my problem. I won't get into what his problem was.
Sure,
but all
understood.
I did is talk about it. And when we finished talking, he was greatly relieved and found a different way to approach the problem. As Sid 4 says, trauma, well, it's not really trauma. It may sometimes be just a misunderstanding, or I didn't see things clearly, or I may have had some experiences that caused me to be, shall we say, a little bit depressed. I didn't have, but everybody's not rich like Sid Ford. He said he is. He's rich now. He's rich. So the three of us can come to him. Say,
Yes.
hey, buddy, we
Yes.
busted. We
Yeah.
need some help.
It's really manifestation. Thank you. I want to be able to help. So I need to manifest all of it. It's coming.
We're coming to you now. We're coming. So we really just have to back up, be patient, and most problems, if we just step back from them, so-called trauma, give them a chance to work their way through. It's really not that big a deal. Yeah, I mean, this war is a serious problem, but we never. I don't know about Dr. Vibe, but none of us here have ever been in a military uniform, other than Halloween. Okay, so we have never been at war, and so we, other than killing each other, most of these problems are created by individuals, and if we but listen and be patient, they solve themselves. When Sydney was headed off to college, Mom bought a luxury car. We got to pay all this debt blame tuition, and I'm saying, well, look like that's it. She went out and bought a house. I said, Lord have mercy. How in the heck are we gonna pay for all this stuff? But we did. Not only for Sydney, then for his brother and law school. But, these are just momentary blips on the Richter scale. And they're not really that serious. And so here we are. Boy, we really, I was, shall we say, a little bit stressed today, trying to get on this internet. A little bit stressed. Well, here I said.
Yeah.
I'm wondering now, what was I so traumatized about? These guys took care of me. They know I'm not that literate, they think, but we survived. So trauma really, shall we say, builds character. It builds character. You know what not to do based on what you experience. And instead of running to a brick wall, wise man climbs over it or go around it. And that's how life has been for me. It's been for Sydney and Sid 3 and Sid 4. I'm not going to sit here and for once believe that none of y'all have ever been traumatized, because you have. You may not want to admit it today. You've been traumatized. You've cried. You've been depressed. Yes, you have. But you found that just talking these things through, having someone who understands, someone who gives you love, you feel a whole lot better, and you can go out there and solve these very simple problems. So trauma, I've encountered trauma. If you have a son like Sydney 3, you got trauma. You got trauma. And I used to say this to him. This trauma I'm experiencing with you, I can hardly wait to when you become a father. And I'm gonna sit back and laugh, because everything that I tried to teach you that didn't seem to work, that's all you're gonna have to try to deal with these traumatic experiences. I remember Dad did this on that day. Maybe it'll work here. And so look what this trauma that he imparted to me, that has done for him in making this young man called Sid 4 a rich, perfect man.
Well, yeah.
Let me just add real quick, because there are people that are experiencing what they may eventually perceive as trauma. There's real threats and imagined threats. If someone's going through a real threat and they're listening to this, I want them to know, please go get help immediately. Do not pass go right and get help. And then there's imagined threats. The imagined threat looks like, we have a lot of snakes that go past our house. I could easily say, Liz has stepped on a couple of them. I could easily say, I'm not going down the steps, especially at night. That's an imagined threat. The real threat is when the snake's looking at you and ready to bite. That's a real threat. Got to do something about it. I feel that even with what we've just experienced as a world in the name of this pandemic, in many ways, a lot of it was an imagined threat. It could kill us all. Nah, I don't know about that. There's a heck of a lot of us still here. Some of it's imagined. It's okay for us to stop allowing people to feed us with these fears that creates trauma of something that's not there at all. So I just wanted to say that.
I have one imagined, actually, that it's crazy that this conversation is today, because my imagined trauma yesterday that I spoke to a friend about, and I said, this is one that I'm overcoming right now because it's holding me back. And that one is fear of never meeting real people again if I make the ultimate money I know how to make. I'm holding myself back from making every bit of money I could make, and every big relationship in my life that could change my family, change my family's lives, change my friends' lives, do all of the things that I've always dreamed about, travel to all the places, own properties in different places that I can take my family to. They never pay for vacation again. I have the ability to make that type of money, but I don't if my trauma or an imagined trauma, an imagined perception is that if I make all this money, I'm in danger. Absolutely not. If I make all this money, I am going to be attacked. I'm going to be pursued by the wrong things. I'm going to fall short. I'm going to turn into the worst person ever. Everything bad that could happen from making a lot of money, I was thinking about. And so that was all imagined, because a lot of money is on the other side of this thought and moment. Unlimited potential is on the other side of this thought and moment. Unlimited potential in your life is on the other side of trauma. When you can overcome trauma and negative thoughts and just things that are not real, when you can overcome that, it's unlimited potential on the other side. And I feel like that one conversation with a friend yesterday allowed me to see how I was thinking and open up. It already slowly was opening. This past weekend, I signed 3 deals. This doesn't really happen often, right? 3 deals. It just happened because I stopped thinking about it not happening. And I stopped thinking about it not happening is a trauma. That's a trauma. I have no money to pay for things. Right? So I don't want to have the trauma. I want to have the unlimited access to what's on the other side of traumatic thinking. So a lot of our trauma is traumatic thinking, but yes, there's real trauma in the world. That's what I was talking about. If in present day you see people getting beat. I went to Kenya, saw met a baby at an orphanage that was found in a trash can. The woman that ran that orphanage, I'm sure when she picked the baby out of the trash can, it had to be a traumatic moment. That's real. You pick a baby out of a trash can, that's real. But being raised by a parent that's learning and things happening, the parent's learning just as much as the kid's learning. There's no trauma there. There's no trauma. The real traumas should be addressed and helped with. We're people that, yes, we have these things that happen to us, but we have so much strength in us that we have the ability to just help people going through actual trauma, going through war. I think about people in Ukraine all the time. Why? I don't know a damn person in Ukraine, but I think about real things they're going through. Actually, I know one person in Ukraine, Instagram friend, but that's it. and real things are happening in the world.
I just want to add to Sid for the following. And I've heard some of my elders say, out of the mouth of babes. Out of the mouth of babes. Sid 4 has such a wonderful outlook on life. I probably won't be around, son, but you wait till Sid 5 get here. You're going to find out what trauma, there's real trauma in being a father. And you've got to be swift of foot, a great listener. And I hear you talk about riches, material wealth. You know, I could do all this, I could have all this money. You're going to find out, you know, we always quest those things we don't have. And once you get all that money, you're going to find out that's not real happiness. You're dealing with a lot of trauma, even with a boat full of money. Your relationship with your fellow man, relationship with your father, relationship with Dr. Vibe, relationship with Sid 3. That's more important than all of the riches and treasures. You see, I shouldn't tell my grandson, but you see, Grandpa sits on top of the mountain now. When it comes to wealth. When it comes to wealth, I'm sitting on top of the mountain. But that ain't happiness. That's just a means to an end. And I say oftentimes, I'm so irritated with whoever created this notion of money. Money. Who came up with this idea of money? I was happy in Louisiana when we were dealing basically with the barter system. You got a sack of corn, I'll give you half a hog. We were happy. But money becomes such a driving force in this a place where we find ourselves. And it's certainly not going to lead to happiness. I've been many places all over the world. Not happiness. Happiness is seeing your lovely face. Seeing how well you're doing. That's happiness.
So, Pops, one of the things that I did talk about in this conversation, and I hear you. Because I listen to you. I love you. And yeah, I said that. And I love you. I love everything you have for me. And I'm falling on this to say that no, I am manifesting the utmost amount of money, because in this world, we live in a world where money's needed to actually change lives. I don't need the money for me. I have plenty of money. I have everything that I need. But I don't have enough money yet to change the world. And I will keep working till I have it, because that matters. A lot of people have money, but they ain't changing the world yet. I want to be one of the many, hopefully I can inspire many to take their money and do something with it. Not just buy the next fancy car. I don't want that. Well, I want that, but that's not the primary, you know? And the other thing is, I said, yesterday, one of my imagined fears with making a lot of money was, when you have money, the best and worst parts of you are exposed fully. You can do the best part of you at an extreme, and you can do the worst part of you at an extreme. And now it's, what are you going to choose? Well, what helps you choose either side? Your relationship with God. So when I make a lot of money, I never lose the relationship with God that I have. And why do I have that? Because of fatherhood, because of friendship, and because of released trauma I no longer need. So when I talk about making money, Pops, I'm not talking about it being the thing that means the most to me. What means the most to me is what I'm going to be able to do with it.
I just want to add to you, young fella, that you can have a better handle on it now at your tender age than I did at your tender age. So you're on the right path. That's my comment for you. And you know where you'd like to go and why you need to go, why you're going there and what you're going to do when you get there. I didn't have that vision, but I do now, since I sit on top of the mountain. I can look down and see it. And I traveled the right road, but it was a pure accident. I didn't have a roadmap to get there, but I did. And you will, but you have a roadmap to success. Good. God bless you.
Any closing thoughts before we end it off this evening, gentlemen?
My
It's a great
closing,
point.
my
Go ahead.
closing talk, Dr. Vibe, is I thank you mightily for creating this opportunity for these three Sydneys to have dialogue. Really, now we're talking out there to the world, so we think, but we're talking to each other. And this has been, I said, I'm saying to these other three, we need to, Dr. Vibe, not necessarily through you, but we need to have this kind of dialogue on a regular basis
I'm in.
with our families. We do.
Mhm.
And we can be better human beings and make greater contributions. To know that we have people who are in a similar place, have the same aspirations, and have traveled this road, and some of the mistakes we might make, they've corrected them along the way. Thank you very much.
Pleasure and honor is mine. It makes me a better person. Third or fourth, any closing thoughts?
I'll let 4 go. Go ahead.
I'm grateful to have my dad. I'm grateful to have my grandfather, who doesn't have to listen, both of them, they don't have to listen to a word I say. But I only say my words maybe sometimes in times when trauma could make me afraid to speak up even to my elders. And speak to, not even speak up, just speak to. They've given me the ability to stand next to them and speak rather than below them or above them to speak. And that's something to be grateful for, because they don't have to do that. They've lived longer than me. And I'm so grateful, Dr. Bod, for the, the platform. This is a great platform you've created, man. I don't even know how
We
many
did. It's not
shows.
me. It's
Yeah,
through me. It's not me.
yeah.
It's through me. It's all of us.
But honor, one of the things that crosses my mind sometimes, sorry, I got a little gnat in my face. Something that crosses my mind is a lot of people ride this wave of, I'm going to be humble. Yes, be humble. Be humble in the name of God, but also own what you've done. So as I say thank you to you, you deserve to be empowered too.
I am.
You're doing an amazing thing here. I actually should, when I'm driving around, should plug into your other podcast, or this is not a podcast, but you know what I mean, live cast, and just listen, because what the heck else do I have to do and listen to music all day long? I'm about to drive 15, 16 hours to Texas. I need something to listen to, and you've created an amazing thing. Thanks for having this, and thanks for holding space for us, because man, I didn't even know I could have conversations like this with my dad and granddad at the same time.
Wow.
So
Third,
Yeah.
my pleasure, my honor.
I will say that, one, thank you to my dad and to my son for being here tonight, having this conversation. Thank you, Dr. Vibe, for holding this space. For those listening, I'd like to say, the one thing that has come up several times in conversations, especially when it comes to father, there is no playbook. Well, write your own playbook. If you don't have a playbook that's working, write your own playbook. A lot of people lean on this playbook called the Bible. There's a lot of great things in the Bible. Take what you need to take and then go write the rest of your playbook and leave it to the next generation. In the Bible, there's one verse that I really lean on. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. That's it. In the beginning was the Word. Really don't need to know anything else. So everything that I put my word to, I am creating in the world over and over and over again. So that's one thing that I lean on a lot when I just think about how to move myself forward. I am writing a playbook for life. Peace is the power to live by. The Encyclopedia of Peace. It's all my experiences. And another part, it's interesting, for whatever reason, these verses are coming out of my head right now. Seek the truth, and the truth will set you free. You don't have to believe anything that any of us said tonight. Go find the truth. It'll stand for itself. No one has to. This is one of the most important books in my life. I'm going to find it before I finish saying what I'm saying. I've got all this stuff sitting here, but this book, I've got to find it because it's the one. Oh, man. I'm not going to. It's so little, and it is the most important book. I'll have it as soon as we get off of here.
I know.
So I know. You know what it's called?
What?
It's called Truth. It is a little book.
You've spoken about this with me before, too.
It is so small, I cannot find it on my desk. That's all it's called. It's called Truth. And it is only 20-something pages, but it shows up whenever I need it. And this is what the truth is really. In a nutshell. Here it is, found it. I wasn't going to stop.
I know.
This book, now it's out of commission. You can't go get this book. It's called Truth. You can go look it up, go try to find it. It's not there for you to get. If you want to know about it, I can read it because it's only, I'm not going to read it right now, 26 pages. But here's the thing about the truth. The truth doesn't need any of us to follow. The truth will always stand no matter who defends it. Go seek the truth. It will always set you free. Nobody else's word matters because the truth stands for itself. So when it comes to all of this, when it comes to fatherhood, friendship, and trauma, seek the truth. It'll set you free. It has set me free. It's how I have this beautiful relationship with my father and my son. And I'm blessed to live this life and to meet people like Dr. Vibe and continue to grow with everyone. So thank you for being with us. And thank you, Dr. Vibe, for allowing me to speak my truth.
Well, as I say, when a lot of people ask me how I am, a lot of times I will tell them I'm blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And I am truly humbled that you've allowed me, even for a few minutes, to be part of your family. It's an honor. I don't take it for granted. And I learn from these conversations. I've done over 3,000 of these. I ain't stopping. So when people ask me, why do I do what I do? This is a perfect example of why I do what I do. Fourth, I'm all with you about making the money, but the only thing I'll just add is money funds the mission. It's not the mission.
Of course.
So I want to say thanks to everybody. Agent Bay says, give thanks. I appreciate this program and the message from each of you. Be well and whole. See you in the next. Kate Lee says, Sid, keep going. I don't know which Sid. Hopefully she's saying all the Sids. And Pam Ray says, you're a model for loving intergenerational living and conversations. I'm still sort of like pinching myself that I'm involved in a safe and brave conversation with three men who are of a different generation in the same family. Gentlemen, you should pinch yourself because this don't happen that often. This don't happen that often because most of the times these type of conversations aren't, first of all, they're not live. And second of all, they're not always loving. So as the fourth said, give myself flowers. I want to give you flowers, but I'm going to take it to another level. I don't want to give you flowers because flowers die. I want to give you rocks. And like when you're walking around the beach in Florida, there's some rocks that are probably there for thousands of years. I don't know too many flowers that are around for thousands of years. So I want to give you rocks, and I hope you receive that. And I'm looking forward to the next conversation that we have. I like to say to everyone, if you caught this live, great. If you catch it on replay, great. If you don't catch it, I gotta wonder about you. And I'll leave it. I'll leave with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And this I'll just add at the end. And this family has roots, deep roots. So I'll say a tree without roots is a piece of wood. We'll see you next time.